to What Do You Want to Do, the show that will hopefully help you figure out what you want to do in life or reconnect you to what you love doing. Each show has a guest who is doing what they want to do, whether it's in their career or in addition to their regular job. Most importantly, we want to help you realize that no matter your age, you too can do what you want to do if you have the will to do it. Now here's your host, Leonard Caplan.
Hi, welcome to What Do You Want to Do? So this show is a retrospective show and sort of a milestone for me because it's the first time I'm going to do the whole show by myself. And for many years, I did another show. It was called Wrestling-Talk, and I always had a co-host, either the late, great Paul Fay or Ed Whittier. And I've had Dorothy be my co-host on this show to do a little mini retrospective, but this is going to be a little bit different. We'll see how long I can keep talking about the show. First of all, before I start doing that, I'd like to thank everybody who listened or watched What Do You Want to Do? And hopefully you get the concept. If you watch this show, if you pick any of the episodes that are on YouTube or on Podbean and any of the outlets that go out there, you'll see people who I invited on the show who either have a career in what they love doing or want to do, or have it as a hobby, or maybe they just aspire to it. I find shows like the one I did with my former volunteer, Claire Harrison, she is in the midst of pursuing what she wants to do, and she wants to do all these jobs in the film industry to work up to what eventually she'll be doing full time, whatever that position may be, and however far she may want to go in the film industry. It'll be exciting to watch her journey. So I'll be having her back at some point with each milestone. Actually, I'm going to be starting to have people back on the show who have appeared before. So far, I've had no repeat guests, except parts 1, 2, and 3 of what is the same interview. In other words, I would do one interview and break them up into 2 or 3 parts. But having people back on, we can measure their progress in their careers and in pursuing what they love doing. So we're going to start with my first show I did with Pell Osborn. Pell Osborn is an animator, and I work with him at a summer camp, and he does traditional hand-drawn animation, which is very rare these days, and he keeps that art alive. And he has worked for ABC and some corporate venues, and he has found through doing that he likes to strip it down and make it easy for himself, make it a simple creative process, rather than do it in the large scale corporate way where you're doing part of an animated thing, an animated project, but you're not really in on the creative process. At the level that Pell prefers to work, he does really what they used to do in the pre-Disney era, in the silent era. And he'll set some animations to music. He'll hand draw everything, either he or his students or both. And it turns out to be very organic and very fun to participate in, because I've helped him do it. I've had my own little animated sequences that he helped me get through. And it's very satisfying to do that. So I can definitely understand why he pursued that line of work. He's great at it, and hopefully we'll have Pell back again someday. Now this show, our show, What Do You Want to Do? My show, What Do You Want to Do? Started in January of 2021. It's now December 2021. So I've had each episode released or dropped, as they say, on Saturday. Every Saturday, we drop a new show. So the second show, which came out in the mid-January after Pell's 2 episode was with my friend from California, Yissendy Trinidad, who is from the Massachusetts area originally. And 2021 was a great, like a banner year for Yissendy because she has been directing and writing and acting and producing and participating in the post-production process and doing everything that she can to develop her own films. And she's doing a great job. So Yissendy has her own production company called the Trinidad Entertainment Group, not to be confused with any other name of Trinidad. The Trinidad Entertainment Group is her production company, and she's doing My Dating Life in LA and other projects, and she's just a machine the way she's going out there. I predict big things for Yissendy, and she started here locally in Lawrence, Mass, and she worked on a movie that came from Hollywood that was produced there, and she used that as a bridge to get out to Hollywood, and she's lived there ever since, and she's thriving out there, making a lot of friends and contacts, and she's having a blast doing what she wants to do. My third guest on What Do You Want to Do was Paul Stephen Stone. Now, Paul Stephen Stone is the inventor or the originator of the slogan, "Who but W.B. Mason?" The W.B. Mason Company hired him. He was in the ad campaign world, and he came up with this ad campaign that was very, very successful for the W.B. Mason Company. You can see that slogan on all the trucks that go by and all the paper wrappers. If you're a teacher especially, you'll see all of that stuff. So that's Paul Stephen Stone. So this brought us up to the 5th show, which I did with Dorothy. Dorothy is a friend of mine who helped me do a little retrospective of the first 5 shows. Because at that time, especially, I was still used to having a co-host, and Dorothy was kind enough to help me out. And so we bounced off each other, and it was a pretty entertaining hour when we did that. My next guest was David Breen, who did a show with me. David Breen is a theater director, an actor, a director, and he directs children in summer camps. And he knows everything to know about the theater world. And that was a very entertaining show. He does a pirate act with his, I call it a comedy group, but it's a comedy music group. And he appears locally in the area and all over New England. And he's a very entertaining guy, very nice guy. And that was Dave. Now, my next show featured my friend Sarah Takagi, Sarah Infini Takagi. And this was my first 3-episode show. This turned into 3 episodes because, especially in show number 1 of that series, Sarah told a story that was very, very mystical and very inspiring on how her CD that I had bought when I first knew her came to make me actually cry when I heard it. And when I asked her about it, she told this story of a live performance that she did where the spirit of her mentor, who she never met in real life and probably died before she was born, was seen by an acquaintance of her standing in back of her, approving what she was doing. Now, I can't tell it as well as she can. Sarah is an amazing talent. She is known primarily as a classical pianist, but she also is a jazz singer. She's gone into stand-up comedy, and she's being very successful at that from the get-go. And she also is an actress, and she composes soundtracks. Just an amazing, amazing talent, and a very nice and down-to-earth person, kind enough to come on my show. She will be my first returning guest in 2022, so don't miss that show. My next guest was Evan Ginzburg, who does a wrestling talk show, but he has a co-host, and he has done his show in various incarnations through the years. It's not just a wrestling show, but he talks about the music world and the entertainment world, the world of entertainment artists, and quite interesting. You may know Evan's name because he is the associate producer for the movie The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, and the associate producer for 350 Days, which is a very revealing wrestling documentary. And don't miss that show. It's a really good show. That's the thing I say, don't miss it, because I've been in regular TV or cable TV for so many years. I tend to forget that you could just go to the YouTube page and see all of these shows on my YouTube page. Any one of them that you want, you can stop it, you can pause it, you can stop halfway and see it later in the day or another day and watch them all over again and do whatever you want with them, because there's no specific time that these shows are on. Now, my next guest, which was 9 months ago, as it says under the video, was Lou Spagnola, who is a graphic designer and a musician, a bass player in the local area. He has 2 independent music groups, and very, very interesting. He plays oldies. He can play anything. His band can play anything. Both of his bands can play anything. So, and he's a heck of a graphic designer. And that's Lou. My next guest was Andrea Castinetti. Andrea is one of actually 3 people I know who rescues and fosters, and in some cases even adopts, animals who don't have homes. And those of you who might be Facebook friends with Andrea know her dogs, Tucker and Brody, and she has a lot of fun with them. She fundraises for animal shelters, and she has her own group, the Kindness Coalition, where she helps people as well. So Andrea is a very, very giving person, and check her out on show number 12 of What Do You Want to Do? My next guest I've known for many, many years. He started off in helping me on my wrestling talk show back in the day, back in 1988 or 90, actually, is when I met him. T.C. Restani. Now, T.C. Restani, you might recognize for After Hours with T.C. Restani. And he has very eclectic guests. And the show is very, very different and has very high production values. I suggest you check out the show. My next guest after that, show number 14, 8 months ago, Shawn Tempesta. Shawn is a radio and TV host. He does a show called The Morning Blend in Las Vegas, and I've known Shawn since he was 15. He started off as the wrestling talk director when he was just a teenager, and in that show, he went through with me all of the technology that he has at his radio station in Las Vegas. And what's unique about Shawn's career in radio is that he has made a name for himself in Vegas. Yes, he started off in Boston, and now he has a show that is seen in Boston as well. It's actually syndicated. And so he has the best of both worlds. He has his permanent home in Las Vegas, but he can still be heard here in the Boston area. That's show number 14. with Shawn Tempesta. My next show also took place 8 months ago with Dan Kline. Dan Kline was one of a group of students that I knew, not my students, because this was before I was a teacher. Dan did a comedy show with me as a member of the Cable Club, the Swampscott Cable Club in Swampscott, Massachusetts, is a group that I started with an after-school bunch of teenagers. And together, he and I and a few adults did some fantastically creative things and fun things. And Dan started in TV on those shows, particularly the comedy show. What do you want to do? Particularly the comedy show Week in Review, later called 4 Weeks in Review. Dan was a member of Seven Investing. Before that, he was part of the Motley Fool, which he would give advice, and he gave advice on Seven Investing on investing. And now he has started another show, which I'm going to have him back on our show here to talk about his latest venture, because that's another climb in the rung of the ladder for Dan. My next guest, also 8 months ago, Kevin Lewis. Kevin Lewis was actually one of my students, and Kevin is a published author of short stories, and I'm sure he's going to be branching into the realm of writing full-length novels soon. His genre is horror, and he's always loved that stuff, and he's making his way in the writing world, which is no mean feat. It's really, really competitive, and but Kevin has the talent, and you should check him out, Kevin Lewis. Let's see. I'm just going to refresh my memory here. Hopefully I've written. Yes, Cat Creeper is one of his novellas. Check out Cat Creeper by Kevin Lewis. And you won't be disappointed. He paints a pretty horrific picture in his stories, in his horror stories. My next guest I alluded to at the beginning of the show. Her name is Claire Harrison, and she's making her way in the field of film and video. I would say in the film world, she's worked with major motion pictures. She worked in the casting department of an Adam Sandler film not too long ago, and she has a lot of great advice for people who want to do freelance work like herself. My next guest I met on Ancestry.com. She is my distant cousin whom I've never met. Her name is Holly Caplan. She has her own show on empowering women, her own podcast. I did this show 7 months ago, and Holly is a very nice person and an expert in her field and a groundbreaking talent in the field of women's podcasting or women's issues on her show. So check Holly Caplan out, spelled the same as mine, Caplan. My next show is a friend that I met at the Medford Vocational Technical High School. Best friends with Claire Harrison, the guest that came before Holly. Her name is Victoria DiPrizio, and she's had a very long career since she was a child in dance. And she talked about her love of dance and how she plans to stay in it, and the trips that she's made to New York. And she is a teacher like myself, and quite an interesting person as well. My next guest also worked at the Medford Vocational Technical High School. He's still there. Johnny Mack, another musician like Lou Spagnola, and they're both friends with each other. And Johnny told me a lot of good stuff about life on the road and the people he's played with and what it's like to be a freelance musician in New England. That's a great show that was recorded 6 months ago. And the next show number 23, is an old buddy of mine, Dave Radigan, stand-up comedian. Dave runs his own stand-up open mic night and other local stand-up venues. In fact, my friend Sarah Takagi met him on one of his shows, and I sort of introduced them to each other formally. They would have met anyway. But Dave is one of the go-to people in the world of stand-up comedy, I would say, in the local area, in the North Shore area, in the Boston area. And Dave also has written for the Boston Globe as a freelancer in the North section before they eliminated that, unfortunately, the North section. And check Dave out. He's great talent, and he's a great writer. And I'll definitely be having a lot of these people like Dave. I'll be having them back on, in addition to the new guests. Next is a guy that has almost the same name as me. I met him when I was working on the El Show de Fernandito show on VNN, Fernando's Hideaway. His name is Aaron Larger Caplan. So we have the same initials. ALC are his initials, and mine is LAC. So we kind of bonded over that, and we became friends over the years. And Aaron is a classical musician, a fantastic classical guitarist. He can interpret just about anything, and he has a great project that he's done called the New Lullaby Project. There are 2 CDs released under that name, and he invites people to compose lullabies, and he will arrange them on the guitar. Aaron has been known to arrange piano pieces on the guitar, and just tremendous skill that he has. My next guest I met on a location shoot myself. Quentin Huckabee is a cinematographer, and he worked closely with another guest that I'm going to mention pretty soon, Jason Brazier. And Quentin does lighting and cinematography and all the technical stuff that directors really need. He is the go-to guy, and it was a lot of fun working with him. I did 2 shows with Quint, and this was followed by Peter Safronis. Peter Safronis is a playwright and a director, and he produces an ongoing web series that I am involved in as a narrator, and it's called 2 and 2 Together. And 2 and 2 Together, he started when he was in college, and he developed it until it became an off-Broadway play, which is amazing in itself. And now it's a web series with audio actors, and I only narrate the credits, so I won't take too much credit for that, but I'm grateful to be part of that. I've known Pete since his cable club, Swampscott Cable Club days as well. And next on the list, we're about halfway through the year here, actually a little bit more. Chris Pantazelos is a luthier. If you don't know what a luthier is someone who makes stringed instruments. He makes and repairs stringed instruments, and this means violins, ouds, bouzouki, violins, guitars, and classical and folk guitars. And he works with wood. He even does the artwork, building a guitar from scratch. He does the artwork around the mouth of the guitar. And next is Zanabel Malo. Zanabel Malo, I have to brag here. I gave her away at her wedding. She named her second child. His middle name is Aaron, after me. So I've known her since she was 12 years old. She is an entrepreneur, And I helped her when she was getting started with her company, Higher Dreams, which was a video company called Higher Dreams Productions. Now it's a marketing company just called Higher Dreams. And she's tremendously successful in the state of Florida. And she's won many awards, being an outstanding Latina leader in the community. So I did 2 shows with her. You could learn a lot, I think, from these shows on how to start and maintain a business. And next is Jeffrey Arias. I met Jeffrey through his wife, Kalidia Reyes Arias, and they both work at ESPN. And Jeff tells all about how he came to work at ESPN. I did this show with him 4 months ago, and very, very educational show. Again, the goal of what do you want to do on, especially on shows like with Jeff here. If you want to pursue a career in television or in any of these disciplines, these are the people who can guide you with really good advice. And Jeff is no exception here. Another member of the Swampscott Cable Club, Sarah Guerin, has a very unique profession. She is a boot maker. She is trained how to make boots, and she can do shoes as well, but she concentrates on boots. She is a traditional boot maker, and as she's quick to point out, she doesn't just do nostalgia shows. She keeps the art alive and is actively making boots the way they did for hundreds of years. And she will custom make them for you. And you can see a lot of her work in these 2 episodes. I put a lot of shots in there of what she does and the results of what she does. And a very unique show. And I went to her shop, obviously, for a lot of these shots. And it's great. You have to check that one out too. 3 months ago, I interviewed my most recent student, Michael Alberto, who recently graduated from the Medford Vocational Technical High School. And Michael is a YouTuber, and he talks about life as a YouTuber, what he does. He actually edits professionally for other people in the YouTube community. He's introduced me to many YouTube people that I never heard of before. It's a whole different world, the online world of YouTube. And he's an editor and a host and a producer and a content creator. So check out Michael's stuff. I did 2 episodes with him. My next guest was Ted Rogers. Ted was my first viable protege. What does that mean? That means he was in the Swampscott Cable Club, and he was the first president of the Swampscott Cable Club. He was the sports anchor in our after-school news show at the time, and Ted ended up in ESPN, the same place that Jeff did, but they worked many years apart. I think Ted was long retired when Jeff started at ESPN. And Ted also has another career that he loves, being he was an EMT, and he is also a paramedic. He's an active paramedic. He is retired from ESPN, which gives you an idea how old I am. If he's one of my proteges and he's already retired from one career, and he's actively pursuing his second career. So I did 2 episodes with Ted, followed by show number 38 2 months ago, Jason Brazier, the director of a series with my friend Medusa as the subject, the documentary web series, which we put on hold for a while, but hopefully we will get to produce it for real one of these days. Jason did 2 shows with me, and we had a really nice discussion about early film and independent film, and we showed some clips of his projects. He did a Western when he was in college, and that is a trip to watch. Great. And when you realize a college age person produced it, it's quite amazing. My next guest was Jeremy Goodwin. Jeremy Goodwin, also a member of the Cable Club. He actually recently commissioned Sarah Guerin, our bootmaker guest, to make him some custom-made boots. Jeremy also did some freelancing for the Boston Globe, and he is a radio host in St. Louis now, and he concentrates on entertainment. A lot of fun to reconnect with Jeremy. He worked on the comedy show, The 4 Weeks in Review. We did some skits together, which were a lot of fun. And I love seeing that people I knew when they were in high school are very successful today. Anna Lee DePrince. Anna Lee is an activist and a writer, and she has many issues that she wants to explore with her activism and writing. She cares about society, and she's very brave. She moved here from Haiti, and the language barrier is quite a hurdle for her, has been, and she speaks great English, and she can read and write in English now, and a really, really nice person as well. And when she comes back, she'll update us on what she's been doing. I keep putting this mic higher because it tends to sink on every show I do. So that's Anna Lee DePrince. My next show is with Amanda Warnock. Amanda Warnock and I have our own little writers group. Amanda and I are both writing novels at the same time. Amanda was a member of the Swampscott Cable Club as well. And with this writing venture that we're both undertaking for a long time, for both of us, we get together and we critique each other's work. And we talk about the process on these 2 episodes that I did with her a month ago. And quite fun, if I guess a little bit self-indulgent. I think, well, I'll say it. I tried to put these shows on Reddit, and Reddit didn't let me put them on because I wasn't just interviewing somebody about writing. I was talking about my own writing, and they viewed that as self-promotion, and they didn't want me on anymore. So I am through with Reddit for now. I'm kind of mad at them right now. So my next guest, I have known since I was 12. We were both 12 at the Lincoln School in Revere. I met him when he was a patrol boy, and he is my age, and he is a DJ. He became a DJ when he was 65, and it's a late passion that he discovered that he didn't really even know that he wanted to do, but he's doing it. John Luciano. And we had some great discussions on 2 episodes about radio and freelance radio and DJing and music of the time, music that we grew up with, music before our time. And John is going to be going back on the air, hopefully, when this COVID thing ends, if it ever ends. As I speak, we have the Omicron thing out there, which, that's no fun. But it'll probably delay John's return to the airwaves. But John's got the talent and the desire, and he'll be back. That was just 2 weeks ago. 13 days ago, I had my last guest of 2021, and that is Kevin Gaffney, who is an airplane pilot, an airline pilot, and he went through his career. I know Kevin because I was at his wedding, because he married one of our Swampscott Cable Club members, Rosa Simmons. And Kevin's a great guy too. And he very patiently went through with me what being an airplane pilot is like and the duties and how he got into it, how he graduated from uh, small planes to larger planes to commercial airlines. And that is the last show that I did for 2021. I think after this show that I'm doing right now, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off from doing this, and we'll be back in 2022. I'm not sure how long I'm going to continue with the show. Depends on how many guests that I can get. Thank you very much for joining me, not only on this show, but throughout 2021. 2021 was a tough year, as was 2020. And What Do You Want to Do is a fun show to do. And like I say, I may or may not return. I think I'm going to return with at least a few shows next year. But if I get lucky and ambitious, I will get more guests and fill up 2022. Who knows? So until next time, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you out there. And until next time, what do you want to do?